What is up, internet people? Coming to you live from Gainesville. I'm DJ, and this project is called Alchemical Fitness. The idea is straightforward enough. In contrast to using science to dictate the best approach to fitness, I'm going to be using alchemy. Now, that might sound completely insane. Isn't alchemy totally fake and made up, and science is just what alchemy eventually was replaced by? Wrong. That's not actually an accurate take on things at all. Now, it's true that physical chemistry has taken over the science from alchemy in terms of just manipulation of different chemical substances, but that was never really what alchemy was all about. Alchemy is about transmutation, transformation, undertaking this great work. And that really should be the goal of fitness as well, undertaking a great work of transformation to create the perfection of your body. Now, let's talk a little more about where we are. I'll show some footage of myself riding the bike, throw in some lifts if I have any footage of that, just so you have something to look at while I'm talking. But here's the deal. Science-based lifting for many years was like the answer to these questions of how do I know how to lift? How do I know what I need to do to get in shape? Going back a bit further, maybe into the mid to late 20th century, it wasn't really at all scientific. There was a bunch of dudes who were really jacked. They shared what they did to get jacked. It was kind of a simple, practical process. You pick up heavy things, your muscles grow bigger and stronger. Now, somewhere along the line, we started doing research to try and understand that stuff a little better. And sure, it's good to know how stuff works. It's good to know how your metabolism works, how different exercises affect different muscles, which ones are getting more energized, which ones are not getting used as strongly in which activity and which position. So it's good to have some frame of scientific understanding, but this idea of reducing everything down to just one variable at a time, or to reduce everything down to the objective, to remove the subjective element completely and say, oh, well, we did a study with 15 different college freshmen who have never picked up a weight before in their life, and it says that 30 to 90 seconds of rest time is all that you need to maximize your gains on calf raises. So that's the answer. 30 to 90 seconds is all the rest time you need in between lifts. And just give that as a general proclamation. Like some dude who's out here squatting 500 pounds is going to sit down for 30 seconds and then squat 500 pounds again. It sounds silly, it really is silly, and it really is short-sighted. A lot of people in general focus a little too much on the details and not enough on the big picture, and it's a problem. So where we could say science-based lifting really jumped the shark, most recently it was with this idea of length and partial. So there was one study that said, well, if you're doing lifts, I don't remember what lifts they were, but it was 3 different lifts or something that they looked at, that actually you get more muscle gain from the length and partial position where the muscles are stretched but you're only doing part of the flexing. That's actually more stress on your muscles, so you'll actually get stronger than if you just do the entire lift and complete the range of motion. And so for a while, all these science-based lifting guys were like, all right, I'm not even going to bother lifting the whole lift anymore. I'm just going to do the stretchy length and partial part. Because all that they care about is getting as much muscle mass in as little time as possible. That's not really what fitness is for. That's not what you should be trying to accomplish in the gym. First of all, you should be trying to get strong. I mean, I've never understood that idea of wanting to not actually be strong but look like you're strong. That's just nonsense. But even within the realm of strength training, it should be all around. You should be trying to get stronger as a person, not just trying to get, my pecs and delts to maximize muscle development. Sure, you want your muscles to grow, but you want that growth to be the manifestation on the physical plane of this character development and spiritual strength on the mental and spiritual planes. That's why we need alchemy. Because you see, alchemy is all about correspondences. As above, so below. As within, so without. As the body, so the soul. As the squat, so the bench, so the deadlift. Now, in ye olden days, in the Middle Ages, it's true that alchemy was mostly associated with physical chemistry, with dudes who were working in labs trying to mix different chemicals together. The classic example is, of course, the philosopher's stone, which would be the substance that allows you to transmute base metal, lead in some cases, iron in other cases, but some common low value metal, and be able to transmute it into gold, the highest value of metal. That was never all that the alchemists were doing. These people had an understanding of the universe as this interconnected cosmos. The man is the microcosm, the universe around us is the macrocosm. So as you're mixing these chemicals in your lab, you're actually sort of exploring the interaction of these spiritual principles. As you go through these processes of physical transformation, you are invoking in the microcosm a process of what would manifest in the macrocosm as spiritual transformation. Now, sure, chemistry, mixing chemicals together, doing that in the sort of abstruse alchemical context, that's a little bit silly at this point, fam. Chemistry has mapped out what most substances you're going to be able to produce without extremely expensive and specialized equipment are going to do when you mix them together. So as far as the physical action of doing lab work, that's kind of passe at this point, let's be real. Yet, when we speak of alchemy, the great work, the work of attaining spiritual transmutation and aspiring to spiritual perfection, the great work is done through the lesser work. That is, the smaller physical manipulations that you're doing are an essential part of the process. You can't just sit back and meditate and not do anything and expect you're going to transform your soul. That's just not how it works. You need to work. There needs to be some sort of active process, and there needs to be an element of time involved. And that's where the gym fits in, because that's exactly what we get with the gym. Sure, there's a physical process. What's going on is transformation. We're taking your weak, flabby, out-of-shape body and melting it down, bringing it back to the base form, and then transforming it through the accretion of muscle into something stronger and healthier and better than it was before. We don't need to just stop at the body. We aren't just trying to do lengthened partials here and maximize muscle growth. We aren't just going to do the top 20% of the lifts to maximize your muscle gain. We're going to start with that. We're going to do that part because we do want to gain muscle, but we're going to do the full range of motion because we want to get strong and fit and able to manipulate and interact with our reality. And we're not even going to stop there. You're not just going to stop at the bottom of the lifts, go to the top, rack the weights, and go home and back to your life of ignorance plugged into the matrix. No. We're going to carry that lift forward, move with your spirit, not only your body. This is all pretty abstract, kind of tough to see how this is any different from just like lifting weights and meditating and maybe doing some form of flow, and that is sort of the basics of what I'm doing here with this alchemical fitness process. But more than that, it's about the mindset. It's about seeing in all of these different activities the correspondences. Seeing, well, if I'm going through this process of spiritual transformation, how is that going to affect my body? And seeing as I work hard to improve my body, how does that manifest in the other aspects of my life? The ideal, of course, is that great work. The perfection of the human, not just as this body, this sort of Greek statue idea of a physical ideal form, but the perfection of the human as a vessel for the divine spark. The perfection of the microcosm as a reflection of the macrocosm. Now, all of this is going to sound completely insane to the average lifter and to the average person interested in esotericism and alchemy. Well, I can't guarantee that you're going to have any interest in the gym, but there's no reason we can't mix these two. I, for one, am a very esoteric lifter who goes to the gym almost every day and spends a lot of time pondering the mysteries of the cosmos. So over the next few months, I'm going to be going through a pretty major process of physical transformation, and it's going to be accompanied by sort of spiritual endeavor and purification as well. I'm going to be undertaking the great work, perfecting the body. I'm not going to attain that Greek statue ideal in 6 months, but bringing my body to the perfection of its form, or as close as I can in the time that I have, and doing the same with the transmutation of the spirit. And if any of that stuff sounds interesting, if you've enjoyed some of the footage that I've shown you, I'll try and put more lifting footage in more of these. I don't want it to just be me talking. I want to be showing you stuff. I want to be getting into the details, discussing some of the more specific correspondences, how the different lifts, the different ways of approaching physical fitness also reflect on the alchemical processes of the mind and of the spirit. If any of that stuff sounds interesting, well, I invite you to follow me on my journey. Likely not very many people will be here from the start, but as I go, I'll be sort of recording the steps and sharing whatever information comes to mind that might be of use. And if any of you are interested in undertaking your own process of alchemical transformation of both body and of mind, well, I invite you to join me. So, yeah, not really sure how to end this. Let's do it! Alright, that was terrible. But let's get jacked, fam.